and instead, you know, he will focus and come back even more determined. We never see Magnus Carlsen, well, I shouldn't say that. We rarely see Magnus Carlsen crumble.
Absolutely. And here we go, the game has started.
Yeah, and so far, early days, but it's a variation of the Queen's Gambit declined. And
not accepted, that we saw in the first game.
Yes. So that is all about whether Black captured earlier a pawn on the c4 square. But he declined to take that pawn, and now by trading off here, okay, we go into the Tarrasch defense. This is maybe a bit rare nowadays at the top level. Black taking that pawn. There is something they call the, what is it, the
Dubov.
Magnus Queen's Gambit? Yeah, the Dubov.
Yeah, I mean, again, chessable course.
Yeah.
But there's the Dubov Tarrasch, I think, which is some line of this. I'm not too aware of it, but as I noticed it on Twitter, someone was saying how interesting it is from the Black side, and obviously Magnus has worked with Dubov as his second, so maybe that's what he's trying to do. And historically, this opening for the Black side was played by Spassky, Kasparov in some big World Championship matches, and it was like a way where Black gets a worse pawn structure, but he gets better activities for his pieces. So it is definitely a way to play risky chess for a win, because you are maybe giving yourself a bad pawn in the middle, but your pieces are very free. So that shows Magnus's intention, I think, in this game. Last move seems a bit rare to me. It seems a little bit odd. I mean, it's not, I don't know the opening very well, but it seems a bit peculiar.
Well, again, another peculiar thing is that Magnus Carlsen has actually played this with the white pieces against Jordan van Forest in the Chessable Masters, and there Magnus won. So it seems like the two are kind of using some kind of reverse psychology against each other.
Using your opponent's weapons against them. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's good, as you mentioned, good psychology. It makes them wonder, have they studied my games before? If Levon's playing this against Magnus, has he studied Magnus doing this on the white side? But he stopped Levon Aronian much earlier than he did in the previous game. OK, he trades off for the Black Knight, and he really opens things up. Aggression, early aggression.
I mean, I like the look at this from the white side, because you're trying to use your slightly better development by opening the position. And you can see White's got 2 minor pieces developed, 2 knights versus Black's 1 bishop. And also White's bishop is ready to come with a check. Looks very scary for Black. So it's the kind of position that you need to have done your homework in, which I'm sure Magnus has, just the speed that he's moving here. A couple of options, though. Knight, now, you know, in this position. The knight centralising looks good, but there's other moves to consider as well.
Yeah, you could take the pawn, hit the queen. You also hit this pawn. Makes a lot of sense. You mentioned other moves, Simon. I guess throwing in this check. It's not clear when you should do it. You can do it now or on the next few moves. And this is also a bit awkward for Black to answer. If you throw the knight in the way, I think this is probably the most logical move, but later you have to be careful of some pawn stepping forward with a double attack. At the moment, though, this horsey, this knight, is attacked as well. It gets really complicated.
Very complicated. This is why you must do your homework in such sharp lines.
Enlighten us, Jovanka. We haven't done our homework, so tell us, what is the most common in this position?
Well, both moves are equally viable, and this one has been played before. The top game there is actually by Iranian Grandmaster Parham Maghsoodloo. And that game ended with Maghsoodloo losing with the white pieces.
Okay.
And after this move, the bishop coming to check is the most popular move.
Yep.
And then the knight blocks, and then the queen comes in to defend the knight, and mess, basically. And a lot of imbalances.
I mean, I'm worried about this king.
Yeah.
If I was Black in this position, I definitely don't think it wants to go queenside. It's too open on that flank.
Yeah, they tend. Well, in this game, it did go queen to the left.
Wow. How open is this, though?
Yeah, but I mean, the situation got kind of messy. But I mean, there were previous lines where they went to the right.
Okay, instead, Levon. Okay, this decision looks a bit odd. Yes, he grabs a pawn, but he allows this bishop to develop with tempo. I'm assuming Magnus will capture this knight. And after the knight is traded off, at least now it's much, much quicker for Black to castle. So you've kind of helped your opponent speed up their development. White is temporarily a pawn up. Okay, Magnus does go for this trade. I'm not sure whether you castle first. You could go for a check, hitting the white king, and then just win your pawn back if you want to play safe. I think Levon Aronian, because he won the last game, he just wants to get to safety in this one. He knows that he's been out-prepared, just like Magnus was out-prepared in the previous game. Now, he has been surprised by the opening with white, and he doesn't want to take risks. Because if you look at the position here, for example, look at the pawn structure, completely symmetrical. Look at the pieces, identical. It's just level. And I think he wants to go for the draw.
I totally agree. I think, you know, that extra half point just gets you one step closer to beating the world champion. So why take any risks in, you know, in a variation that your opponent's clearly prepared? Makes a lot of sense to bail out here at the moment. So definitely.
Well, that would be good news for Magnus Carlsen with the black pieces if he does get a draw in this game. 2 more games to get that win, but it is very dramatic right now for Hans Niemann. He lost the first game, and in game 2 against Liam Le, the bar is all the way over to Liam's side. Is Hans losing another one? Going 2 points down.
It looks like Hans has been out-prepared. Liam just on fire in the openings. In both games, Liam was winning with black the previous game after 10 moves. Now he's winning with white after 15, 20 moves. It looks like just, unfortunately, getting caught in the opening there, Hans Niemann.
Okay.
Yeah, and whilst the players are having a think, you know, I have a few questions from our viewers. The first one is from Luke Walsh, who asks us, what is each commentator's one bold prediction about the outcome of the Generation Cup?
Bold prediction.
Bold prediction, yeah. David.
Glad you asked David, because I don't even know what the Generation... What's the Generation Cup? This one. Oh, this is oh, well, there you go. I thought I was doing a job somewhere.
You've only been here 1 week, Simon.
I don't need to know. I can see it's the Julius Baer, you know, the sponsors, but I didn't realise the Julius Baer Generation Cup. Try not to go red now. Where am I? What am I doing there? I'll just see you later. Yeah. Cheers. Bye. I thought it was another competition coming up. OK, David, over to you, sir.
I'm not sure whether it's bold at this point, but I'll say a teenager is going to win the tournament.
Oh, nice one.
I've got a 5 in 8 chance.
And
but wait
what
1 second.
just happened here?
Wait, really? Wow. And OK, so the computer, we see the top stockfish moves. It confirms black has a winning move. It's not king c8, which the computer says. It means castling queenside. So the black king is going to castle queenside. We said it was too risky earlier, but now it just wins. Has he forgotten this is legal? I'm trying to work out why as well, Kaya. I guess it just creates a deadly pin. And if we jump into the game right now, we have to investigate. Actually, there's 2 strong moves. Even giving a check with the queen, which is also natural, that gives black an advantage. But castling queenside wins on the spot. It is quite natural. What do you think, Simon?
Yeah, I mean, it is very natural. The rook comes into play. It pins the bishop. You get the other rook ready to come in as well. That might be a key thing. I mean, it looks so obvious to play this move. And is Magnus going to play it? I mean, I think he's spotted it.
100%.
I reckon 100%. I think he's seen it
for sure.
Definitely, he's looking at it and. Well, I mean, it's such an obvious move. Do you reckon Lev forgot that Magnus could castle?
I think so, because somehow or other, you know, it wasn't possible before, and he plays it, and it's looking very bad
take
for
a look
Levon.
at Levon now. Will he realise? Because why on earth did he then move his bishop if it was that bad?
Exactly. Yeah. It was actually before he moved his bishop. Let's just backtrack 2 moves. Before he moved his bishop, castling queenside, again, was illegal. The white queen covers the d8 square, so you would be castling through check, and that's not possible. So if he just moved his bishop 1 square, for example, the game goes on. It's fine. But now the reason as well that this is so strong, castling queenside, he just creates a pin. You pin and you win. And if white castles kingside now, then I guess the idea, there's several ideas here, but one of the ideas is to just try and win this bishop. This bishop cannot move because it is pinned. The black rook would then capture the white queen. And if you can't move your bishop, you have to step back and defend, I guess. But at the very least, you just trade off and you move your queen. And whoops, this knight again is pinned and it's just lost. You lose a piece for free. And if you don't castle, if we go back to the current position on the board, if you don't castle your king, as Simon mentioned, it's just coming under fire. There's all sorts of checks. There's a check from this angle. There's an incoming check if the black rook moves into the centre soon. Where do you even move your queen to break this pin on the d-file? It's nowhere safe.
No, there's definitely nowhere safe. The only place that I can see that is like remotely viable is to put the queen on the b1 square, but I'm like cringing inside. I'm thinking, oh.
Yeah, I mean, just white's king is so weak, right? I mean, you got so many tempting moves after that one. I mean, it's, yeah, I mean... I think it's complete. I mean, you can even attack the knight with your bishop, can't you? And just, you know, there's so many winning moves here.
Yeah.
And it's actually very simple to play.
Yeah.
This is the problem with playing so quickly, right? I mean, Lev has banged out his moves again in a position without too much thought. He has castled here. You were just showing us line, David. I don't think that's going to save the piece, is it?
Doesn't look too difficult as well. It's kind of which piece is pinned? It's this bishop. So just come and attack it. That just wins immediately. Maybe there's stronger moves. I mean, maybe you could attack it with your bishop as well, for example, like this, or I don't know. There must be a bunch of moves you can play right now. But maybe, like you said, you can go this way with the bishop. Everything's just falling apart.
Yeah, it's horrible. I mean, you know, with correct play, Magnus will win this one, and that will level the score. Just one bad move. It just shows you, in chess, it's such an unforgiving game. You've got to keep your concentration all the time. If you just have, you know, if your brain drifts and you like think, where am I? What tournament am I commentating on? For a second, it all goes wrong. You've got to know where you are at all moments. So, and I am in the studio. Really?
Here I am.
Hello. So just remember that. Yeah, don't let your guard down at any moment. You know.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you'll pay the price.
You will pay the price. And just want to share with you one picture that was selfie from Scott B. Robinson. If you guys will indulge me, they are sporting their Caro-Kann T-shirt just for me. Who will play it today? Yeah, that is the question, Scott. Who will play my favourite opening? Now, I can actually, I don't know whether I've said it before, but I actually have, not that T-shirt, but I've got the hoodie version of that.
I feel like we don't see the Caro-Kann. You know, I wouldn't recognise it, but I don't hear you guys saying, "Oh, it's a Caro-Kann" in the Meltwater Champions Chess Tour.
Not this tournament.
Yeah.
Not this tournament. Yeah, I barely remember any. But it goes in and out of fashion, just like most openings. I mean, there is kind of the staple diet of any chess player is the Queen's Gambit and the Sicilian, and maybe the Spanish opening, for example. Those three you'll always see. But there are others like the French defense, the Caro-Kann, Scandinavian. They orbit each other. 1 month you'll see loads, and then you might not see them again for 2-3 months. But I mean, all of the top players at some point have experimented with most of these openings. It's just following fashion.
Yeah, definitely. And thank you, Scott, for making me smile. And love that. Us Caro-Kann fans have to stick together.
Of course.
Caro-Kann Appreciation Club, especially after we were maligned by Benny in the Queen's Gambit.
He was a strange chap, though, wasn't he? I mean,
he was a bit strange.
He carried his knife around everywhere, didn't he? Remember that? He had his little, what's that all about, you know? Is that not, maybe it's just normal in America, I guess.
I thought he was pretty cool.
Dave,
quirky chess
do you want me to
player.
get you a little knife? You
Rock star like.
Was he the one with the hat, the cowboy hat?
Yeah, that's it.
Same actor who played in Love Actually.
Yeah,
right?
that's right. The kid in I Love Actually. Yeah.
When someone told me that, I was like, oh, wow.
And Game of Thrones. Yeah.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, Black has won a piece. Magnus is winning this position. The White Queen has gone on a little adventure. She's won a pawn in the process. Looks like she can give one check to the Black King, but the Black King will just move very safely. And the problem is White has no backup. White has no second attacking piece.
Yeah.
It kind of looks scary, the Black King, doesn't it? I mean, it looks a bit exposed, but you can't really damage your opponent's king really just with one piece, you know. You've only got the Queen there, and there's not much going on. But Black's pieces, he's got 4 pieces in the middle of the board all ready to attack, and one of them is an extra piece. So it could just be, I think, over very shortly, this one.
And I just wanted to point out that the Black Queen is both an attacker and a defender. If the worst comes to the worst, you know, if White Queen gives a check, you can just block it with your Queen and say, what you doing?
Yeah, that's true. The Black Queen does a great defensive job, actually, stopping all the checks. You could also, we should mention, just move the Black King. It's fine. This is only one attacking piece. White can give another check, but then the King will hide. And, once that little excitement has died down, Aronian will count, and he'll count that he is simply losing. Black's bishop is actually, it's not just any bishop, it's a monster, as you guys pointed out. This is actually a killer threat as well. Bishop takes knight, ruining the white pawn structure. With that in mind, the white knight had to run away, and it stepped back. But now, I mean, if you want, you could trade off the knights. You don't have to. It feels like the white king is actually in more danger than the black king, just because there's more pieces around it. But how does Magnus deliver the knockout blow? How does he, the coup de grace, as they say?
Yeah.
The killer touch.
It looks like there should be something really nasty here, just with the black piece is quite quite nicely positioned there. But I can't see an absolute killer. I mean, you can play nearly any move and win this at the moment, but obviously you have to be careful. But is there a killer move, though?
I would be tempted to just laugh at this knight and retreat, just say, haha, you put your knight on a bad square, your rooks are not connected, this rook can't move. I am just perfectly centralised. I think when in doubt, just centralise your pieces.
It's like a good move, yeah.
It's a good move.
As you guys said, I mean, you can do pretty much anything in this position. You can just trade off knights, you can just maybe just move your bishop out the way and protect your knight like this.
Maybe line up your queen against that soft square, you know, just put the queen in the middle, move the queen one square left or right, and that also ties white's knight down. But really, there's no threats to black's king. You've got a couple of checks and it ends. There's nothing you can do to black's king here, as long as you're careful about that. And this also creates a threat of knight takes knight, winning the game. This might be a...
Looks great, Simon.
Looks
As
good.
you said. I mean, maybe we'll see a checkmate on this square at the end of the game to finish things off. But Magnus, he's doing the right thing again. He's done the hard work, won a piece, and, OK, he retreats. And good move.
Yes.
Channeling.
Great minds, great minds.
Just trying to think, you know, how do you really kind of put the boot in, kick your opponent while they're down.
Could be a massive round of comebacks. Magnus, who lost in the first round to Levon, now with the black pieces. It looks like he's going to win this one. And Pragnananda, he also lost the first game with the black pieces, now with the white pieces. I think the bar is slightly to his side against Vincent Keimer and Liam Le, Hans Niemann, game 2. Hans as well lost with the white pieces in game 1. And it looks like he was losing this as well, but now the bar has completely shifted to his side. Is he now winning? Has there been a blunder by Liam?
No one blunder, but Liam, I think, made a series of small mistakes. He actually had a winning attack. He didn't go for the attack. And then that's the problem with chess. As soon as you stop attacking, you lose momentum and things do turn. So great defense from Hans, and he's now a big favourite. Missed opportunity there for Liam.
Could be a comeback then by Hans Niemann here in round 2 in the quarterfinal matches. Christopher Yu, he also lost first game now playing with the white pieces against Arjun Erigaisi. That game started not too long ago and the bar is roughly in the middle. But maybe he will be inspired by the comebacks, Christopher Yu.
Yeah, definitely. And, well, we were I had a few more questions to ask.
OK.
Masters.
Bring him on, especially towards Simon.
Yeah.
What day of the week is it?
You know what? I honestly don't know.
Nor do I.
It's Thursday, guys.
Is it? All right, cheers.
think.
Yeah.
Throwback Thursday.
OK, Thursday.
Yeah.
I was going to say Wednesday, so yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm not sure now. But Spruce asks us, it often seems like you can find good moves way easier in other games than in your own. And any tips for improving your view of the board?
I mean, you can try different things out. It depends if you're playing online or actually in a tournament. And one person who was coaching me at an event said, to get your opponent's point of view, actually, if you stand up and you go and look around from the other side of the board, so you're always looking at it from your own point of view. Maybe if you're a really optimistic player, you're looking at it like from the white side, but there's a lot of moves in the game, but I don't think much has really happened. But if you just stand up and walk around, so suddenly you're looking at the board from your opponent's view, you can get a different kind of perspective on what's going on. So that's something you could try. I don't do that myself. I tried it and just found it really annoying, but you might want to give it a go. Any other little tips, David?
Yeah, I mean, a few things. I agree, just getting up, whether you look at it from your opponent's point of view or not. Sometimes if you get up, kind of splash water in your face, have a snack, have a drink, then come back, you see things differently, or you see something that wasn't previously there. Just take your mind off the board for a couple of seconds, a couple of minutes. Another thing that I've learned from commentating, previously my mind was just a jumble. It was just variation, and it still is sometimes, but I like to kind of take a step back and just think, OK, what would I do if I was commentating on this position? And actually that gives me another perspective. And I feel that's helped my kind of longer chess, my classical chess. Just getting back to basics is often a nice way to do it. Calculation's good, but not just moves in the head. Sometimes words are necessary to kind of, with decision-making, that process.
Interesting.
So good advice from our grandmasters. I would also add one little thing, which is sometimes it's good to take the emotion out of it, because maybe you've been winning and you're not winning anymore. Life happens. that's what occurs. And you should just, as these two have said, just get up, take a walk, and just reset, and just do what needs to be done, and just have that mantra in your mind.
Yeah, I mean, if it's a long game, if it's a 2-3 hour game, you can't concentrate. Nobody can concentrate the whole time. So you need to make sure you take breaks. In rapid chess, you want to concentrate most of the time, but yeah, you need to pace yourself. Meanwhile, black is 2 pieces up on the board.
Yeah.
It's funny, 1 piece got pinned on the d3 square, and black won a piece, as we saw earlier. Then a second piece got pinned on the exact same square. So Levon Aronian, he's lost a bishop and a knight on the exact same square. I would say, you know, he's fallen for the same thing twice, but he was already losing, so he had to try something. And at least now he's pushing some pawns towards the black king.
He's doing exactly the right thing. I mean, like, when you're losing, when you've actually lost a piece, or let's say even a pawn, the best thing to do is try to make the position completely murky. You know, you want to make it as confusing, as complicated, with no fear, because you're going to lose if you don't anyway. So you might as well try to confuse your opponent just by, as he's doing here, pushing pawns towards his opponent's king. You know, if Magnus gets confused, he could get in trouble now, because there's more things coming towards that king. So
Sounds kind of fun.
Yeah, it is.
It's like that.
It's sometimes nice to be losing, like, you know, maybe losing in life as well. You've got less to worry about, right? You can just be like, yeah, I don't care anymore. Just get on with it, you know. You know, so it's, yeah, you've got more freedom, haven't you? I suppose in some ways to risk it, take more risks.
I call it blagger mode.
Aha.
Have you heard of that word? Is that just the British thing?
I think blagger is
Swindle.
Yes, is a British thing, isn't it?
It is just
mode.
Blagger.
Blagger, you know, it just basically means, like these guys say, you know, you're not objectively you're lost, but you're just winging it. You're just freestyling, and you know, okay, fine, enjoy it. And Magnus doing great things, because when your king is in trouble, we've always said time and time again, try and stop off queens.
Yeah, that being said, he is giving a piece back. So the bishop in the centre of the board can be captured by white's rook. I was expecting Magnus to somehow give up his queen in that position. I don't know why. That would just have been a Magnus thing to do. Give up his queen maybe for white's rook, and he would have still been winning. Black has so many pieces, but yeah, as Jovanka says, this is very logical, very safe. And okay, the rook has captured the black bishop. Magnus doesn't look happy. And okay, he takes the queens off the board. The risk is removed, but maybe not as winning as he was. It's only a knight for 2 pawns now. Still winning, of course. Still winning.
I mean, I kind of like what he's... I mean, if he can just negotiate this little bit of mayhem that's happening here, there is still a bit of mayhem. Lev's doing a great job of just causing that mayhem, then obviously the piece will win the game. And it's often a good idea to give back material to get, you know, calm down your opponent's initiative. And how can Lev do anything here to confuse Magnus? I mean, he's got... OK, he's got this move. I like that move, so you don't get pinned. And you just got to mop up those pawns slowly, and I think it looks pretty easy now, to be honest. So
yeah, the evaluation bar might have gone down, but it's still completely winning, and now for a human at least, it's easier to navigate. So just very good technique. Yeah, the problem is if black can bully white with the threat of rook exchanges, black still has that extra knight. The white pawns will drop off later. I like this last move, as you say, Simon. That white pawn is like a double agent. It's actually helping black to protect his king.
Why didn't he just take the pawn? What am I not seeing?
I think that was a good move as well, Kaya. But he wants to keep the black king as safe as possible, and this white pawn is not running away anytime soon. So maybe he'll even use the black rook and go and capture that pawn, and the black king is entirely safe from the white rook, or the 2 white rooks. That was the only hope for Levon.
It's that fianchetto or fianchetto rook. You know, it's a very good piece, you know, if you can get that in front of your king. And, well, OK, Magnus just centralising at the moment. I mean, you can play this on a bit, but, I mean, you know what I'd do here, clearly. I'd have done it a long time ago. Just resign. Yeah, so... Just
catchphrase, Simon.
Yeah, I might get a T-shirt, just resign.
Just resign.
Just, I'll do that when I'm, you know, if maybe somewhere else, you know. So.
I think, you know, now that this has become Simon's catchphrase, amongst other things, you know, we should kind of immortalise it in the Chess24 play zone. You know, every time you hit resign...
Just resign.
Just resign, you know, Simon comes up. Well done, you've resigned.
People will be so annoyed, you know, because it's horrible to resign anyway. And if you've got my face coming up, and no, that's not good. Not a good idea.
Or maybe if you're playing and then you ask the computer for tips, and the computer's like, "Yeah, you're done. Just give up."
But I like the idea of having a T-shirt that just says it's time to resign, and like you have your jumper on, you're playing someone, and as the position gets pretty good, you just take the jumper off, and it just says time to resign.
Oh, I like it.
I like that. Yeah, I like
Classy.
that. I'm gonna,
So sadistic.
yeah, just resign now. I mean, Kasparov, I think, used to do a similar thing. He used to take his watch off during the game, and he'd put his watch next to his board, so he'd have his watch there. But then when he was winning, and when he expected his opponent to resign, he'd just get his watch and he'd make a big thing and put it back on his wrist, like basically saying it's time to go now. So whenever he put his watch back on, you knew you might as well just resign.
Oh,
so
I like
yeah, it's a funny little strategy. So
Have you ever had any opponents do that to you?
what,
Like
tell me to resign?
Not
or...
tell you to resign, but make it clear that they were expecting you to resign and they did not want to be playing this game.
I've met a lot of strange people in the chess world, definitely. I can't remember any who've made it clear, they're like, like this kind of thing. But I don't know, I probably have done, though, I would have thought. So, yeah, I don't know.
When I played Magnus in the London Classic 2010, I think, so he'd outplayed me, he had a winning position, my king was in the middle of the board about to get checkmated, and he was just kind of sitting there like... OK. And then he played one last move, and then I resigned instantly. I didn't even look at what the move was. And only after the game did I realise that he'd blundered, and I wasn't kind of drawing or anything again. I was still kind of worse, but I was no longer losing, and I could have fought on, like, given some serious fighting chances.
Oh, no.
So it was just the body language. I just given up mentally, and... I mean, that's no fault of his. He didn't realise it was a kind of a mistake either. But, yeah, I shouldn't have trusted the opponent. That's why you've got to focus on the board, not the player.
Absolutely.
And, meanwhile, Black has done a good job of trading one set of rooks off. All he needs to do is trade off the remaining set of rooks, and Black's extra knight will tell.
Must be so annoying for Levon getting a win against the world champion Magnus in the first game. That is not an easy thing to do, but then coming in game 2, white pieces. And it looks like it's going to be a loss. He has to start from scratch. 2 games to go in the rapid portion to win the match.
Yeah, it's a Black day in this matchup, at least. Also, the matchup between Liam Ley and Hans Niemann, it looks like a day to be Black. Black winning all of the games in those matches so far. And, OK, White's rook, he's doing what he can, Levon. He's trying to bring his rook across. If he can eliminate all of the Black pawns, it's going to be a draw. The problem is Magnus won't allow him to do that.
He's making it kind of tricky, though, isn't he? I mean, he's been very resilient here, and I suppose, you might as well just play on.
He's played very well since blundering his piece on move 12.
He has, yeah. Since then, he's played just to keep the game going. Has been very impressive, And
that's where chess is different from other sports. You can make one mistake early on in any other sport, and then you fight back. Chess, you lose a piece on move 12, you play perfect chess, and you still lose. Some mistakes you can't come back from.
Just like to say thank you for Kevin for purchasing that book, The Black Line, one of my latest chess books. And it was actually Kevin who told me about the opening in the first place. He was telling me about this opening that you play as Black, and I was ignoring him for a while, this is just rubbish. And then he was being persistent, and I thought, I better look at this. I like Kevin. And I had a look at it, I thought, oh, hello, this is quite interesting, and then I started to play it. So, yeah, it's funny how you find openings like that. So, yeah.
Yeah, we mentioned it recently. Good opening, actually. Yeah. Or tricky.
It's good at club players.
Or did Kevin tell you the name?
There was a book already written by 2 Dutch authors, and they did a book, and they called it The Black Line. It was nothing to do with me. They did a great book. They were the originators. I just try to advance the theory a little bit for the modern age. So, but I can't remember their precise names. Maybe someone in the chat can help out there. But yeah, it's a cool name as well. So.
Is there such a thing as a black line?
There's not. No, it's actually a mythical thing. Yeah, I thought there was a black line because there are pictures on the internet, but they're all fake. So I have actually done my research, because I have said in the past any opening named after an animal is rubbish. Yeah, but the black line is not an animal; it's a mythical creature, so it's okay. So that's how I get out of it. So yeah,
I'm going to go and invent the unicorn opening next. Some other fiction.
Yeah,
how about a hippo then?
It's real, no?
Yeah, I just forgot about that. Yeah. Oh, God, yeah. And my latest chessable course,
exactly.
which me and David play quite a lot. So, Hippo's a good opening.
Yeah. These two are tied to
say,
yeah. They're obliged to say it's good.
It's as good as the Caro.
Controversial.
No, I mean, it's a very easy and nice opening to play. So it's got a lot of positives, like any opening does, really. I think there's a lot of argument, isn't there? I mean, Black is still winning this one, by the way. Just have a look at the position. He's got to be careful he doesn't lose too many pawns, but he's got enough, and he'll be winning another one very shortly. So it's just a matter of time. But there's so many arguments I see sort of online about that opening's rubbish. And players who say that are generally quite low rated. They say you can't play that opening, it's rubbish. And it doesn't matter that much. You know, most openings are playable. That's what you've got to remember. It's the middle game that lets down most, 99% of players. So don't overthink the opening too much. Just get a position you can play is just a key bit of advice. Until you get to a really strong level, the openings become much more important the higher up you are, I feel.
Yeah.
So is Magnus still cruising here?
I think so. He's just won a pawn. The black knight cannot be captured because it's discovered check. The black rook suddenly attacking the white king, so the white king has to move. And you're right, Simon. It's no matter what the opening, as long as you're familiar with the middle game plans, the middle game maybe pawn structures, that's enough. That's enough.
Yeah.
And work on those end games.
And Levon had to step the king down. That was the only way he could maintain his threat against the f7 pawn. Otherwise, the knight would have given a check. Oh, no, not a check, but threatened a check.
Yeah, maybe we can just show this on the board. It was a winning check from Black. The knight attacking the king and the pawn. The king tried to defend the pawn and discovered check, as we mentioned, throwing the knight out the way, hitting the king. And Jovanka mentions that, OK, this way would be a clear knight fork. And the other way would also walk into...
skewer, right?
Yeah, the knight coming in. And if you take this pawn, then, OK, another knight fork, the knight could come along. Or you could skewer the white king and rook. There's all sorts of tricks because Black has two pieces, white only has one. And if we catch up with the game position, we might be seeing Levon Aronian resign any second. This is a check. And when the king moves, the black knight is going to go park itself in the middle of the board, defending this pawn, which defends this pawn, which defends this pawn. And you cannot get rid of this formation. Magnus is simply winning. He can defend his knight with his rook when he wants. This pawn will drop, and it's game over. Too much material. OK, Levon trying one final trick. The king moves. Now Black can just defend his knight with his rook.
Suppose you can attack. You can move the knight if you really want to be flash, but this is safe. Yeah, just get the box on.
This is flashy, Simon. Attacking the rook. Rook takes pawn, and another skewer. Check, and you win the rook. But yeah, Magnus just doing it the simple way. Levon just keeping this pawn alive, but it's going nowhere.
You can see how determined Levon is today, though. Obviously, the way he's playing, he's really. This is a good sign for him, after him struggling a bit in the qualifiers. It's going to be equal after this game, I think, unless something tremendously strange happens to Magnus,
Yeah, with 5 minutes on the clock, I don't think we've ever seen Magnus throw something like this.
Not since he was like 5 years old or something. And even then, he was probably
he was in the pram.
yeah.
Throwing rooks out the door.
Here you go, have a rook.
That extra black knight, it's found loads of kind of safe squares, outposts, and that's the key. If you can keep it on a safe square, you will win.
I think the rook's going to come and take that last pawn now. Is one simple. There's many ways you can win this, but OK. Lev's trying, but
you can take that white pawn now.
Yep.
You can bring the black rook back if you want to play safe. You give a check first.
Yep.
Maybe the king can snake its way to the right.
Stalemate tricks. If you take the pawn...
Checkmate.
Checkmate beats stalemate.
That's true.
We have a checkmate.
We have a checkmate. The white king trapped.
Yeah, nice checkmate.
Oh, we rarely see that in chess. This is a comeback by Magnus Carlsen. Levon Aronian, he loses game 2, and that means they are tied after 2 games with 2 rapid games to play. And checkmate on the board. What happened in this game? One bad decision